Don't we all kind of secretly wish we could just, slow down aging? Like, wouldn't it be amazing to feel vibrant and healthy for as long as possible?
Absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't want to extend those golden years and feel their best?
Right. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're taking a deep dive into Dr. Mark Hyman's book, Young Forever. Have you heard of it?
Yes, it's a really interesting look at how we can slow down aging and prevent those chronic diseases we all worry about as we get older.
And the best part is he's talking about using lifestyle changes to do it, not, some magic pill or crazy treatment.
Right. He really emphasizes that we have way more control over how we age than we think. It's empowering.
Totally. So, Dr. Hyman, he's a pretty well-known functional medicine doctor,
He
right?
is. He's been a leader in that field for years,
Right.
really promoting this idea of looking at the root causes of disease and not just treating the symptoms.
I like that approach. So, in Young Forever, he basically takes that functional medicine lens and applies it to aging itself.
Exactly. He actually argues that aging isn't just something that inevitably happens to us. He says it's a disease.
Whoa,
Yeah,
a disease. That's a pretty bold statement.
it is. But he makes a compelling case. He calls it the myth of aging. This idea that we just have to accept decline as we get older.
It's so ingrained in our culture, right? Like getting older automatically means getting sicker and weaker.
Yeah, and Hyman challenges that. He says that a lot of what we attribute to aging is actually driven by things like inflammation, oxidative stress, and just, this gradual deterioration of our cells.
And those are things we can actually influence through lifestyle choices, right? That's what's so exciting about this.
Absolutely. He really dives into the science behind it. But the bottom line is that we're not just passive bystanders in this aging process.
I'm ready to take control. So let's get into the specifics. Where does Hyman suggest we start if we want to, hit the brakes on aging?
Well, he talks a lot about diet, of course.
Yeah.
But he doesn't just give, a generic eat healthy kind of advice. He gets very specific.
Give me the goods. What does he recommend we put on our plates?
So he advocates for what he calls an anti-inflammatory low-carb diet.
Anti-inflammatory makes sense. I mean, I know inflammation is linked to all sorts of health problems, but low carb, that's interesting.
Right. A lot of people might think low carb is just a weight loss thing. But Hyman really emphasizes how refined carbs and sugar actually fuel inflammation throughout our bodies.
Ah, I see. So it's not just about cutting carbs for the sake of cutting carbs. It's about choosing the right kinds of carbs and making sure they're not contributing to this kind of chronic inflammation.
Exactly. He talks about how chronic inflammation is like a slow burn that's constantly damaging our tissues and accelerating the aging process.
Yikes. Not a good visual. So what kinds of foods does he say we should be eating to dampen that inflammatory fire?
Well, he's all about those vibrant veggies, of course. Lots of colorful antioxidants there.
Right, like those deep greens, bright reds, and oranges.
Exactly. And he's also a big fan of healthy fats, like olive oil and avocados.
Ah, the good fats, not the kind that clog your arteries.
Right? These are the fats that actually help reduce inflammation and support healthy cell function. And of course, he emphasizes getting enough lean protein.
So it's a balanced approach, not about depriving yourself, but about making smart choices.
Exactly. And he explains that this type of diet also helps stabilize blood sugar, which is really important for longevity.
Why is that? What's the connection between blood sugar and aging?
Well, when our blood sugar is constantly spiking and crashing, it actually damages our cells and tissues over time. It's like wear and tear on our internal systems.
Interesting. So it's about keeping things stable and giving our bodies a chance to thrive.
Exactly. And this dietary approach provides all those essential nutrients our cells need for repair and regeneration.
Okay, I'm sold. Sign me up for the anti-inflammatory, low-carb, blood sugar stabilizing diet.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is. But it makes sense. So we're feeding our bodies at the most fundamental level, right? Giving our cells the building blocks they need to stay healthy and resilient.
Exactly. Now, Hyman also recognizes that even with the best diet, sometimes we need a little extra support. And that's where supplements come in.
Okay, let's talk supplements. But are we talking about magic pills here?
Oh, no, no, no. Hyman is very clear about that. He stresses that supplements should never be seen as a replacement for a healthy diet and lifestyle.
Right. They're not a quick fix.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He sees them more as targeted reinforcements,
Yeah.
filling in any nutritional gaps or addressing specific needs we might have.
So they're like supporting actors in the grand play of longevity.
I love that analogy. So he's not promising eternal youth in a bottle, but he does believe that certain supplements can play a valuable role.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What are some of the key players he recommends? What should we be looking for?
Well, one he consistently recommends is omega-3 fatty acids. Those are those heart-healthy fats you find in fatty fish like salmon.
Right, omega-3s. I've heard they're good for brain health, too.
They are. But Hyman also highlights their potent anti-inflammatory effects.
Ah, so they help combat that chronic inflammation we were talking about.
Exactly. They're like firefighters, dousing those inflammatory flames throughout our bodies.
Okay, love that visual. What else does he recommend we deploy in our fight against aging?
Another one he emphasizes is vitamin D.
Oh, the sunshine vitamin. I know a lot of people are deficient in that, especially if they live in places where you don't get a lot of sun.
Exactly. And Hyman points out that vitamin D deficiency has been linked to all sorts of issues, from weakened bones to a suppressed immune system.
Right, and a strong immune system is obviously crucial for staying healthy and fending off disease as we age.
Exactly. He even suggests that vitamin D might play a role in regulating inflammation and supporting healthy cell growth, so it's multitasking.
It's a busy little vitamin. What else is on Hyman's supplement all-star team?
He's a big advocate for antioxidants, those compounds that help protect our cells from damage.
Oh, right. Antioxidants fight those free radicals that can wreak havoc on our cells.
Exactly. Think of free radicals like little rust particles, slowly corroding the metal of our cells. And antioxidants come in and neutralize those free radicals, protecting our cells from that damage.
It's like a constant battle between the good guys and the bad guys.
It is. And Hyman recommends a variety of antioxidants: vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium. He says they work together to protect us.
So it's like they form a shield defending us from those damaging free radicals. What about probiotics? Where do they fit into all of this?
Probiotics are all about supporting our gut microbiome. Remember that incredible ecosystem of trillions of bacteria living in our gut,
Oh, yeah, we touched on that earlier. It's mind-blowing to think we have this whole world living inside us.
isn't it? And probiotics help replenish and diversify those beneficial bacteria, which are so crucial for overall health and longevity.
So we're not just feeding ourselves, we're feeding the trillions of tiny creatures that call our gut home.
Precisely. And those microbes play a much bigger role in our health than we ever realized.
This is getting really fascinating.
It is. But we'll have to save that conversation for part 2 of our deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground already, but there's still so much more to explore.
I can't wait. It's clear that Hyman's approach is all about looking at the big picture, right? Not just targeting one aspect of aging, but taking this holistic approach to create an environment where our bodies can truly thrive.
Absolutely. He's not just giving us a list of things to do, he's giving us a whole new way of thinking about aging.
It's empowering, and it's giving me hope that we can age gracefully and vibrantly.
Me too. It's all about rewriting the narrative of aging. Not accepting decline, but actively pursuing vitality.
And that's what we'll continue to explore in part 2 of our deep dive. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back and ready to dive even deeper into Dr. Hyman's Young Forever. You know, we spent a lot of time in the last part talking about diet and supplements and kind of setting the stage.
Yeah, all that good stuff. Really the foundation of a longevity lifestyle.
Right. But now I really want to talk about this whole gut microbiome thing. Like, it just seems so wild to me that we have this whole, like, inner world of bacteria living inside of us, and it can actually impact how we age.
I know. It is pretty mind-blowing. Hyman calls it our inner ecosystem, and I think that's such a great way to think about it. It's like a whole rainforest living in our gut.
A rainforest. Wow. Okay. But so why is that so important for aging well? What do those little guys actually do?
Well, they're not just hanging out there taking up space. I mean, they actually play a huge role in our health. They help us digest food. They help us produce certain vitamins. They train our immune system. It's really incredible.
Seriously. So these little bacteria are like our own personal health squad.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When that ecosystem gets out of balance, it can actually contribute to all sorts of problems. Inflammation, autoimmune diseases, even like brain fog and mood disorders.
Wait, so my gut bacteria can mess with my brain?
They can. There's this whole fascinating connection called the gut-brain axis. It turns out our gut and our brain are in constant communication, and those little microbes play a big role in that communication.
This is blowing my mind. So if we want to age well, we really need to make sure our gut is happy and healthy.
Absolutely. Hyman says a healthy gut is like the cornerstone of longevity. It influences pretty much every aspect of our health.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we actually take care of our gut microbiome?
Well, a lot of it comes back to diet, of course. Hyman really emphasizes eating a fiber-rich diet because fiber is like food for those good bacteria.
So all those fruits and veggies and whole grains we hear so much about.
Exactly. Those are prebiotics. like fertilizer for your gut garden.
Okay, gotta feed the little guys. But what about probiotics? Aren't those supposed to be good for gut health?
They are. Probiotics are those live beneficial bacteria that we can get from things like yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, all those fermented foods.
Oh yeah, fermented foods are trendy these days, but I never really understood why they were so good for you.
Well, they basically help to replenish and diversify the good bacteria in our gut, like adding reinforcements to our gut army.
Makes sense. So we're kind of giving our gut a boost of healthy bacteria. Is that the same idea behind probiotic supplements?
Yep. And Hyman says those can be really helpful, especially if you've been on antibiotics, because antibiotics can wipe out both the good and bad bacteria in your gut.
Right, it's like a scorched earth policy. So probiotics can help to kind of repopulate the good guys after that kind of thing.
Exactly. And another important thing for gut health is managing stress.
Okay, stress, we hear that a lot. But how does stress actually impact our gut?
Well, when we're stressed, our body releases all these hormones like cortisol, and those hormones can actually disrupt the balance of bacteria in our gut. It's like stress creates a hostile environment for those beneficial bacteria.
So stress can literally kill off our good gut bacteria. Great, just what I wanted to hear.
I know, not fun. But that's why Hyman is such a big advocate for stress management techniques.
Like what? Give me some strategies. I need all the help I can get in that department.
Well, he's a big fan of meditation and yoga, anything that helps to calm the nervous system and bring those stress hormones down.
Okay, so deep breaths, downward dog, maybe some kombucha on the side.
Sounds like a good plan. He also talks about getting enough sleep, which is so important for so many reasons, including gut health. And then there are things like limiting your exposure to antibiotics, only using them when absolutely necessary, and being mindful of environmental toxins.
So it's really a holistic approach, right?
It is. And Hyman even talks about this more advanced technique called fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT.
Okay, FMT. That sounds kind of intense. What is that?
It's basically a procedure where they take fecal matter from a healthy donor and transplant it into the gut of someone who has an unhealthy gut microbiome.
Whoa, so they're literally giving you someone else's gut bacteria.
It sounds strange, but it's actually been really successful in treating certain gut conditions. And Hyman believes it holds a lot of promise for the future of medicine.
Wow. Okay, so we've got prebiotics, probiotics, stress management, fecal transplants. This gut microbiome stuff is no joke.
It's not. It's one of the most exciting areas of research right now. And it's clear that it plays a huge role in how we age.
So how do we tie this all back to longevity? We've talked about how these gut microbes affect our overall health, but how does that translate into living longer?
Well, Hyman explains that a healthy gut microbiome helps to reduce inflammation throughout the body. And remember, we talked about how chronic inflammation is one of the biggest drivers of aging. It's like a slow burn that damages our cells and tissues over time.
Right, so a healthy gut helps to put out that fire.
Exactly. And it also supports a strong immune system. And a robust immune system is essential for fighting off infections and diseases as we age, which obviously contributes to longevity.
It's like our body's defense force. Gonna keep those troops strong.
Exactly. And then there's this fascinating connection between the gut microbiome and something called autophagy, which is a cellular process that's really important for longevity.
Okay, autophagy. We touched on that briefly in the last part. Remind me what that is again.
So autophagy is basically the body's way of cleaning up and recycling old and damaged cell parts. It's like a cellular spring cleaning. And research suggests that a healthy gut microbiome can actually help to promote autophagy.
So the healthier our gut, the better our cells are at cleaning house?
Exactly. And Hyman believes that this is one of the key ways that the gut microbiome influences longevity. It helps to keep our cells functioning optimally for longer.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We are wrapping up our exploration of Dr. Mark Hyman's Young Forever. We've learned so much about how to take control of our health and aging, and I'm really excited to keep digging into this whole concept of autophagy.
Yeah, autophagy, it's such a fascinating process. I mean, it's basically our body's way of like decluttering and recycling at a cellular level.
Right, like spring cleaning for ourselves.
Exactly. And you know what Hyman says? He says if we can learn to boost this process, it could be a game changer for longevity.
Okay, I am all ears. So remind me again how autophagy actually works. Like what's going on in our cells?
Well, picture this. Our cells have these little compartments called lysosomes. And their job is basically to break down cellular waste. So anything that's damaged or worn out gets sent to these lysosomes to be recycled.
So it's like our cells have their own little recycling centers.
Exactly. And autophagy is like the delivery system that brings the trash to those recycling centers.
Okay. Makes sense. But what happens if autophagy isn't working properly? Like, what if the trash isn't getting picked up?
Well, then things start to get messy. And that buildup of cellular waste can actually contribute to all sorts of problems. I mean, it's linked to inflammation, cell death, even those age-related diseases that we're trying to avoid.
Right, like we were saying before, chronic inflammation is a major driver of aging. So we want to make sure our cells are staying nice and tidy.
Exactly.
Oh.
So how do we do that? Well, we touched on this a bit before, but fasting is one of the most powerful ways to stimulate autophagy.
Oh, yeah. Fasting, everyone's talking about fasting these days. But are all types of fasting created equal? Like, is it all about just not eating?
Well, there are different approaches, and Hyman talks about a few of them in his book. He's a big fan of intermittent fasting, which is basically cycling between periods of eating and not eating.
So, like this popular 168 plans where you eat within an 8-hour window and fast for the other 16?
Exactly. It gives your body a break from digestion and allows those cleanup crews to get to work. Then there's time-restricted feeding, which is similar, but it's more about limiting your eating window to a specific time each day. And then there are longer fasts, which can be, 24 hours or more. But those are definitely something you want to approach carefully and maybe talk to your doctor about first.
Right, don't want to overdo it. So, fasting is one way to boost autophagy. What else can we do?
Well, Hyman also talks about certain nutrients that can help stimulate this process. Remember resveratrol? We talked about that one before. It's found in grapes and red wine.
Oh, yeah, I remember the red wine for longevity thing.
Right. Moderate consumption, of course.
Hmm.
But he also talks about curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, and green tea as being beneficial.
So basically, incorporating those foods and drinks into our diet could help keep our cells clean and efficient.
Exactly. And of course, exercise is another important factor.
Ah, exercise. I knew you were going to say that. But how does exercise tie into autophagy?
Well, when we exercise, we put a little bit of stress on our bodies. And that stress actually triggers those cellular repair mechanisms, including autophagy. It's like giving our cells a good workout and prompting them to clean house.
So hitting the gym is not just good for our muscles and our hearts, it's good for our cells at a deeper level.
Exactly. And even moderate exercise, like brisk walking or cycling, can have those benefits. And don't forget sleep. Sleep is when our bodies really go into repair and rejuvenation mode, and autophagy is a key part of that process.
So we're talking about diet, fasting, exercise, sleep, stress management. It's really this holistic approach to supporting our body's natural ability to heal and renew.
It is. And that's what I love about Hyman's message. He's not just giving us a quick fix. He's empowering us to take control of our health and aging, to really work with our bodies, not against them.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we've really tried to highlight throughout this whole deep dive into Young Forever. Aging doesn't have to be this scary, inevitable decline. It can be a journey of vitality and growth.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, we've learned about so many tools and strategies that we can use to slow down the aging process and prevent disease. And really, it's about creating a lifestyle that supports longevity on every level, from what we eat to how we manage stress to the way we nurture those trillions of little bacteria living in our gut.
And it's about embracing this new frontier of science and research and being open to the possibilities. Who knows what amazing discoveries are just around the corner?
It's an exciting time to be alive.
It is. And remember, you don't have to wait for some magic pill or futuristic treatment to start taking control of your health. You can start making those changes today. Small steps can lead to big results. So let's all raise a glass to aging gracefully, vibrantly, and joyfully.
Cheers to that.
And that wraps up our deep dive into Young Forever. If you're intrigued by these ideas, I highly recommend picking up a copy of the book. It's a fascinating read, and it really could change the way you think about aging. Until next time, keep those cells young and vibrant, and remember, you have the power to live a long, healthy, and fulfilling life.
Thanks for tuning into Chapter 2, where we break down the best books to fuel your growth and learning. If this book caught your interest, check out the links in the description to get the audiobook at no cost. Don't miss out, and support our channel while you dive deeper into these life-changing reads. See you in the next episode.